Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be diving in to the new palettes that were recently launched from Lisa Eldridge. Now, I only have one palette in this video. When these first launched, I originally bought 4 of the 5 palettes. The Sorcery Palette, I was like, oh, I don't know that I'll ever wear those shades. Yeah, I think I'll skip on that because they're $68 each. And I was like adding that up, timesing that by 5, and I was like, yikes, that's very expensive. So I only ordered 4. And then when I got done with that order, I was like, you know what? I don't really feel right about leaving that one out because I know there's going to be a lot of you out there who are really going to love this color story and are going to want to see it and see some comparisons and see the textures. So I decided to bite the bullet, buy the Sorcery Palette along with the lip liner and the lipstick. So I ordered all 3 of them in a separate order. Well, this is the first order to arrive. It arrived today, and my other order with the other 4 eyeshadow palettes haven't shipped yet. So as soon as those arrive, I will be doing a full video on them. But for now, this video is going to be all about the Sorcery Palette. I'm going to be doing 2 different eyeshadow looks using it, and also comparing some swatches and comparisons so you guys can see this color story and also the textures of these metallics and stuff next to other palettes and other textures that are out in the market in this high price point. I want to preface this video out by saying I absolutely admire and I have watched and loved Lisa Eldridge for many years, long before I ever started my YouTube channel. I've always really admired her passion for makeup. Like, her videos are very calming for me, and I really love her artistry, and I've always admired her kind of tapping into her passion and her abilities and creating her own brand. Even though I admire her and I am a huge fan, that doesn't mean that my opinion is not going to be my own. My integrity for me means more to me than anything. And even though I admire brands and even though I look up to them and brand owners and stuff like that, and even though I really love their makeup, there's a lot of brands that I just love their makeup, I always don't love their product. So you guys know I like to keep it real at the end of the day. And because these palettes are a $68 price point, I am going to be looking for something special. I want to see something special as far as textures go, how they blend, how they look, and if they're different from what we already have in our collection. Because there's a lot of expensive brands out there, from Pat McGrath, Tom Ford, Natasha Denona, Charlotte Tilbury. You know, those are kind of more of the luxury. Then you get into the more luxury where you're in Clé de Peau and, you know, Chantecaille. I mean, their quads are very, very pricey, right? I just want you guys to know that. I love her and admire her, but this is, I'm always going to keep it real here. You guys know that. So with all that said, let's get into the information. So this is the Sorcery Palette. It retails for $68 for 6 eyeshadows. There is 5.4 grams worth of product in this palette, which makes that $12.60 per gram. Okay, so it is a higher price point. It is. It's even higher than Charlotte Tilbury. So a traditional Charlotte Tilbury quad, she has 5.2 grams worth of product for $53. And these are $10.20 per gram. So the ones from Lisa Eldridge are a little bit higher price point than the Charlotte Tilbury, but you can clearly see that the packaging is much better, in my opinion. They weigh about the same. I would say that the Charlotte Tilbury feels a little bit heavier, but this is gorgeous. The packaging on this is absolutely stunning. I love how they look. I love that brassy gold. It's so beautiful. The packaging is just well done, and it feels luxury. When you look at it, it feels luxury, and it has this really nice magnetic closure, easy to open, even with nails. Like if you have nails like I do, it's really easy to open. And here on the back, you'll notice that you have these little pinholes. You can take out some of these eyeshadows and replace them with others. So she is selling single eyeshadows. Now, she's not selling single cartridges. So I actually reached out to the brand and asked them if they would be selling these separately. Currently, they're not going to. And Lisa is kind of taking it under advisement, but right now you cannot buy these empty. In order to be able to customize it, you have to buy one, like one of the 5 that are available, and then you can start customizing from there. So just so that you guys know that, that is where it stands. So let's get into the information. So if you guys watched Lisa Eldridge's video, which I did, I watched it twice. I was so excited. She talks about the Sorcery Palette kind of giving the medieval vibes and kind of the jewel tones of that time, right? It is inspired by the medieval tales and legends. Sorcery is a story of the magicians, fairs, and fantasies of the Middle Ages. This palette really does what it says on the tin. It's just magic. Be spellbound by its precious curation of multifaceted jewel tones that have all of the drama and the peacock's tail, perfect for bold evening looks. So that's pretty much all the information on it, you guys. Let's go ahead and jump into the 2 eyeshadow tutorials using the palette. Then we will jump into the application of the lip liner and the lipstick. Then we're gonna get into the swatches and comparisons. And then of course I will jump into my final thoughts. So I will see you guys then. Okay, let's go ahead and jump into this new package in this really pretty pink pouch, and the pouch is black down on the inside. So I have a few of these from Lisa Eldridge. This is one of my favorites. I love the brassy color with this really pretty green, but I love this one. It's my favorite. And then this one is really, really pretty as well. So we're gonna dive into this palette first. So it comes in this white box. It has Lisa Eldridge and her logo on it. Comes down inside this black thing. This is really nice. This is really, really classy. So you can see that like this part, so this has those little lines in it. And I think the packaging is just so gorgeous on this. Here on the back, you have the little holes where you can pop them out and, you know, customize the palette any way you want with buying the single shadows. Right here is where you put your finger in and it pops open. Then this is covering, so you have this little plastic piece over it. And these are the shadows. So pretty, right? So there are 4 metallics in this palette, 1 luminous duo, and 1 seamless matte. The first shade is Troubadour, and that is a seamless matte. The second shade is called Grotto, and it is a metallic. The third shade is Madrigal, and that is a metallic shade. Fourth shade is Mercurial, which is a luminous duo. The 5th shade is the shade Mage, which is a metallic. The 6th shade in the palette is Swan Song, and that is also a metallic. This luminous duo, this one right here, look how pretty that is. You know, and the thing that I'm noticing about that, even though this shade is very sparkly, it's so finely milled that it doesn't have a chunk to it. That's the green. Oh my gosh, you guys know I'm gonna be diving into that green. Like, that green is so pretty. This is the seamless matte, and it has a luminosity to it. So even though that color is quite bold and it's very dark, it has a luminosity to it. Just really, really beautiful. Now, I personally really love this green color, and I just want to put it on the lid and see what it looks like. So I'm going to use my finger. I'm just going to go into this green right here. Even though it has a lot of color, okay, so here's the thing. This shade in particular, the way that it kind of blends onto the lid, it gives you that really beautiful impact, but it doesn't have that chunk to it. So it's designed to lay really pretty kind of in the folds of the eye. Like, it's not going to emphasize wrinkles and stuff. Is kind of the vibe that this shade is giving me, or the texture of this shade anyway. With nails, it's so hard to get into those corners. So to kind of get up into like the folds of my eyes that I can't get to and I can't reach with my fingernail, I'm gonna grab my Smith 253. And now I'm gonna take this brush and on the tip of it, I'm just gonna bring it up and into the crease and kind of blend it out. This shade is exceptionally forgiving. You can see as I'm kind of opening and closing my eye, it just is really forgiving there in those folds. I want to now go in and grab the Seamless Matte. This is the only one in the palette. So I'm gonna grab a little bit of this and I'm gonna bring that like right there. Oh, you guys, this is so pretty together. That green matte goes so beautiful with it. And then I'm just gonna take like a fluffy brush and just kind of blend it out. I wanna put the silver shade right on the center just to see what it looks like. I'm gonna take that Smith 253 brush. So I'm gonna go ahead and head off camera and put some concealer on, but I want you to notice that I don't really have any fallout and I don't have any fallout in my lashes. So this is a brand new pair of lashes that I just put on. They are from Lashify, and a lot of the times when I'm playing with new eyeshadows and new textures, I will start to get like a lot of fallout in my lashes, but I am not getting any fallout from this palette, like zilch. And I think it all is due to the textures in this palette. There's no chunks to the metallics, and for the Seamless Matte kind of has that shine to it. It doesn't have that dust to it. It's kind of almost creamy to the touch. So I'm not getting a lot of fallout. So I'm only really gonna wipe this outer corner and kind of clean this up, kind of sharpen that line up, just to kind of create that lift here. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and put some concealer on and I'll be right back. I'm gonna go into the Seamless Matte and I'm gonna use that same brush I was using. This is the BK Beauty 209. I mean, it is really, really beautiful. You guys know I'm not a makeup artist. For me to be able to create this look and not have any fuss with it and love the way that it looks says a lot. I wonder if I have a green eyeliner. So I have this little pouch from Victoria Beckham Beauty's eyeliners, which I love. This one's in the shade Olive. And I'm wondering how this will look on my lower lash line, like right here. And then kind of blend it down into that green, the Seamless Matte. Okay, for the inner corner, this one, and just put a tiny bit, like right there on the inner corner, just to kind of bring something to that inner corner, you know? Okay, so this is the final look for look number one, and I'm kind of obsessed with this look. It's really beautiful. So easy to apply, so easy to wear. So far, so good. We'll see how it works with the next look, because you just never know. You can try it once and it works great, and then you try it again and you're like, oh yikes, that didn't work as good. So we'll just see. We're just gonna keep playing. So that's it for look number one. Let's go ahead and jump into look number two. So I'm gonna go into this shade first because I wanna see the opacity that this has on the lid. And I'm gonna use my brush because I'm gonna put it here in the inner corner and I just can't reach that with my nails. Like my nails kind of stop me from being able to get into those corners. So I'm gonna grab this shade and I'm gonna bring it right here. You guys, that is so pretty. Like I said in the intro, in order to justify the splurge on these palettes, they need to be special textures. And so far, that's exactly what I'm seeing. So not chunky and does not, I mean, look at that. Not only am I not getting any fallout in my lashes, and look how it shines there in the inner corner. Like that is so gorgeous. And you can continue to kind of build it. So the thing that's kind of special and unique about this shade is that when you first put it on, it gives you this right here, but as you continue to build and layer that shade, it kind of has so much going on. But look at that. There is absolutely, I want to show you, there is absolutely no chunk to that. There is no chunky layers sitting down into the pigment. Okay, I'm excited. All right, that's what I'm looking for when I'm splurging on a palette that has 6 shades for $68. Right. So I'm gonna go into this shade right here. Oh my gosh. Want to see how these apply with the traditional blending brush. This is the Smith 233. So it's just a traditional blending brush, right? I want to see how that shade, this one, blends into the crease with a more wispier kind of traditional crease brush. Okay, so pretty. I'm gonna take the BK Beauty 210 brush and I'm gonna go into this shade and I'm gonna kind of build up this outer corner with it, kind of creating a little bit of definition out here. Right over top of that metallic shade. Okay, so now I have kind of the shape. Now I'm just going to take a stiffer brush and kind of blend it out. All right, so I went ahead and threw on some concealer. I will buff out that line as soon as I put some shadow on the lower lash line. I want to see what it would look like to go in with the blue on the lower lash line, just so I can try to use all the shades. So I'm going to grab the blue. Okay, so now I'm gonna take a brush and kind of blend it out. Okay, so what I can tell you is that blue is gorgeous. Now I'm gonna take that blue eyeliner from Victoria Beckham Beauty. This is in the shade Navy Noir. And I'm gonna put this on the upper lash line and the lower. Now I can tell you, if you have brown eyes, you're gonna love this palette. Okay, so I put on the rest of my makeup. We're gonna go ahead and jump into the lip. So this is the lip liner in Sorcery and this is the lipstick. So we're gonna put them on. And I'm very excited. So this one is just gorgeous. Okay, and it's sold out. It's out of stock, which I'm not surprised. So this Bewitching Medium Dusky Clay Rose borrows a little cool tone mauve magic from the 90s. The indie it girl of the True Velvet. Saturated and highly pigmented lipstick with beautiful true velvet effect on the surface of the bullet, which looks exactly like velvet fabric. That's kind of the description of it, and I am excited. So I'm gonna go ahead and put on the lip liner. Love that with these dark tones, she offers the lip liners to go with them. It just makes for just a better application. That's the velvet look, and that's the color. So pretty. Oh, that color is beautiful. I can see why this one was the one that sold out. Absolutely gorgeous, you guys. So pretty on every level. And look, her liner is hard to get off. So I am done playing with this palette and applying the Sorcery lipstick and lip liner. Let's go ahead and jump into the swatches just so you guys can see those. And then we will jump into my final thoughts. So I will see you guys then. Okay, so I am back. I do hope that those swatches and comparisons were helpful. I have to say this, I did not have a lot of this color story in my collection. I did the best that I could, but this is just not something that I buy a lot of as far as this color story. So I went through as many palettes as I could. That was what I had. When the other 4 palettes come, those color stories, I will definitely be able to give you more comparisons. But speaking of the 4 palettes, I just got a message from Lisa Eldridge's team on Instagram saying that the rest of my order is probably not going to ship until the 23rd. So if you're watching and if you're waiting for your order to arrive, they're saying that many of the orders will ship on the 23rd, which is right before Thanksgiving here in the United States. So I'm actually having Thanksgiving at my house. I have a lot of family coming up, so I may not be able to start filming until the Tuesday of the next week. So just keep that in mind. I don't know exactly when I'm going to get them, but the minute that I don't have a bunch of people here and I'm able to film, that will be what I film with. So be on the look for those videos coming up. But for now, let's dive into my final thoughts about the Sorcery Palette. One thing I gotta say, I have not touched my lipstick up since I applied it, and that's been probably 4 or 5 hours now. I haven't ate yet, so just PS, that's just wearing it without eating, but I just wanted to mention it. Let's get into my final thoughts about this palette. I have a lot of thoughts here, and I'm gonna try to break it down to make it make sense. I've been kind of jotting things down, especially as I've been swatching and comparing these textures to other textures from other brands, because the thing about this is a $68 palette. It's almost $70. It's very expensive for 6 shadows, and it's a pretty high price point, even compared to Charlotte Tilbury, Tom Ford, Pat McGrath, Natasha Denona. The price per gram on this is quite high compared to some of those other brands. I think these are a little steep. In my opinion, they are. The second negative thing that I find, besides the steeper high price point, is that these are not truly customizable until we're able to purchase these separately. Now, I was told from Lisa Eldridge's team that she's taken it under advisement to sell the actual component empty so that you can truly customize them. Because she's offering refills, it kind of makes sense to be able to buy these separately. It just does. I think it kind of completes the customized abilities that the refills and the palettes offer, right? Those, in my opinion, are the 2 negatives. Price is a little steep, and not being able to buy the component so you can truly customize them, right? Okay, let's get into the textures. So we know that Lisa is offering 6 textures in these eyeshadow palettes. The palette that I have only offers 3. So I have 4 metallics, 1 luminous, which is a kind of a duochrome in a sense, and then you have this seamless matte. And I'm excited to play with the other textures because these are pretty spectacular. Now, I'm going to start with the seamless matte. The velvet matte, she says, is creamy. It's cream to the touch. You can apply it with your fingers, blend it out. I can only imagine how amazing that formula is based on this, because this is the more powdery one of the 2 mattes, and this, in my opinion, is not powdery at all. In fact, when I put my brush into it, there's no kick up in the pan. You can see where my brush went down into the pigment. There's no powder in this matte, and it's creamy to the touch. So when I put my finger in it, you can see it's got a shine to it. She did say in her launch video that this does have a shine, and it absolutely does. It's gorgeous. So I'm even more excited to play with the velvet matte because I like cream eyeshadows, but they have to be the right texture. I like cream eyeshadows where they blend and they blend out really easily and they build pigment. There's a lot of cream eyeshadows that you can only build it so far, and it's just you're not gonna get any more depth. There's some cream shadows that you can continue to build and blend out, and you maintain the depth, but you're able to blend it out as well. That's kind of what this is. This was so simple to blend out. A little bit went a very long way. Love this seamless matte formula. absolutely love it. I'm excited to play with it in more of the other color stories because it's on par fantastic. Now, the metallic shades in this palette are gorgeous. And the thing about these metallics is that some of them are full opacity and some of them are not as much opacity. All three of these shades are metallics, but you'll notice this shade right here, which is the shade Grotto. It's not full opaque, but you can build it to get that opacity, which is what I did here on this eye look. I was able to really build the shade so you can kind of sheer it out, which is what I really like about it, is that it's one of those metallic shades that it has such a soft texture to it. It's so smooth. So it's a very smooth texture. You get absolutely zero chunk in this palette, even in the duochrome. So this right here is a duochrome, which I have a shade from Pat McGrath that is similar to this, and I'll show you guys. But even this duochrome, there's absolutely no chunk in this. None. It's got the most smooth texture to it. I mean, it's just gorgeous because of the way that the metallics apply and that luminous duochrome. It applied beautifully, and I didn't have to worry about a bunch of fallout, because typically in other formulas, if I'm going to reach for a duochrome, I just automatically know I'm going to get a bunch of fallout. I'm going to have to wipe it off, which is fine. I know that going into it, so I do my eyes first, right? But with this, it's not like that. It's so smooth that it just lays beautifully, and it doesn't have that fallout because there's no chunk to any of the shadows in this palette. But because these formulas, these three were so impressive, it's making me even more excited and intrigued to try the other shadows. So with all of that said, I feel like the textures are very unique. They're not revolutionary, but they're more unique. And the reason why I say that is because I'm going to swatch this shade, which is the Luminous Duochrome. If I compare it to this shade, this is the Mothership 5 palette. This shade right here is very similar to this one from Lisa Eldridge. The only difference between, now you can see the one from Pat McGrath has much more of a sparkle to it. Just know that. It has more opacity, but it also has a little bit more of a chunk to it, meaning that you can kind of see the pigments sitting on my hand where it kind of gathered. While it's sitting on my hand, if I tip my hand this way, I can kind of see some of the, you know, as it kind of gathered in your finger to swatch it, you can see some of the gathering of the pigment on the outer corners of the swatch. But with the Lisa Eldridge formula, it's incredibly smooth. There is no gathering because it doesn't have any chunk to it whatsoever. That's the point I'm trying to make with this. All three of the textures that I've played with so far, I feel like you can tell that there was a lot of thought and a lot of hard work that went into creating this formula. And because it's a new formula, I'm going in a little bit more deep than I would if it was just a new palette from a brand, because you know, this is a new formula we're not familiar with. So I'm going a little bit more in depth so that you can kind of understand the formula overall and if it's the right formula for you. For example, if you like something that's really punchy and you like that Pat McGrath punchy eye look, this might not be the best formula for you, right? Like, it's just going to depend on your needs. The other thing that I will say that I really like about this metallic formula is that it blends beautifully in the crease. So there's a lot of metallic shades and shimmer shades that you really just can't put in the crease. They don't look right. These, on the other hand, you can totally blend them out in the crease, and they kind of give you that wash of color and that sparkle without looking weird. There's just certain shimmery, like metallic shades that you just can't do that with. If you really wanted just a green eye, you could do your entire eyeshadow look just using this shade in particular, or the blue, for example. It blends out. I mean, you can see on this lower lash line that blue just really blended out, and you can either build up the opacity on the lid and then have it, like, you know, fade out as it goes into your crease. So these are just fantastic textures. They really are. Are they worth a full $68? I don't know. It all depends on what you're looking for. Do I feel like it's special? Yes. And I am excited to play with the other palettes. I am going to be looking at them a little bit differently because those other color stories are not going to be as unique in my personal collection as this one is. So this one for me is very special because I will probably, when I'm wanting these like really colorful eyeshadow looks in these tones, this will be the palette that I'll reach for over the other palettes that I have because it was so easy to work with. The textures are so easy and buttery that I don't have to really think about it. I can just throw it on and be good. The other one, you gotta kind of work with it and you gotta blend it out with a matte, right? Because of the unique textures in this palette, it made it very simple for me to create a very colorful look. Because I'm more intimidated by color, this will be a palette that I will reach for when I'm wanting a look like this because it was just so easy. So with the other 4 palettes, because I have those color stories over and over kind of in my collection, I'm gonna be looking for, is it unique enough to justify it? Is the formula unique enough, right, to justify the $68? Because this one, I can say yes, because this one provides a gorgeous color story that's very easy to use. See about the other palettes, those I don't know about. But this one I absolutely love, and I love the textures. So I don't feel bad about splurging on and spending the $68 on it because I love how easy it was to use, and I really love the textures in it. But it's all gonna boil down to what you're looking for. I do think they're still a little pricey. I still think they're a little overpriced. Just gonna say that. So those are my overall thoughts. Sound off down below. How are you guys feeling about these palettes? Have you bought the Sorcery palette and got it already? What has been your experience? Have you gotten any of the other palettes? Let us know in the comment section down below. I'm so excited to hear everyone's opinion on these palettes. Everybody has a different experience and we're all looking for something different when it comes to makeup, and everybody's opinion is so subjective. So I'm curious to hear your guys' opinion and other content creators to hear kind of how they're feeling about these. It's just so fun. You know, Lisa Eldridge has one of the absolute best liquid eyeshadows out on the market. It's still one of my favorites. So I was so excited when I saw these, and yes, it was a very expensive order. It was, but I just went ahead and did it because I wasn't planning on buying a bunch of collections this month. And so it made it worth it at the end of the day. I was able to kind of budget it in, but I definitely did not want to leave the Sorcery palette out because it's so gorgeous, and I'm so glad I didn't. I'm so glad I have this one. Also, before I go, I want to also mention that I read in a comment from Lisa Eldridge's team, I think it was on one of her posts, that if anything sells out, they won't have a restock this year. So if anything on her website right now from this new collection sells out, she will not be able to restock by the end of the year. So just keep that in mind. Those are my overall thoughts. Sound off down below. Let us know your thoughts. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me in today's video. I hope you guys all have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys all in my next video. Love you. Bye.